Hare Krishna. Welcome back to another session of online Swadhyaya Reading Retreat Labs. So today we are going to continue with the chapter number 7 of canto number 9. In the last session, we have completed till verse number 1 to 6. Today we are going to complete the remaining part, that is verse number 8 till verse number 26. So now without any further ado, let's see the mind map, what we have covered last time. And this mind map will be available to download whatever the platform you're looking at. So from that, you can download this. No worries. So this was the first section. We have seen the stories of Puruputsa and Trisanku, the entire family tree, and how Trisanku finally he was cursed to become a Chandala by his father. He went to uh, heaven by influence of Vishwamitra, but again, still he is still hanging in the sky, head downward. So that was the story of entire story we have covered last time. So today we are going to start with the story of Harishchandra, right? Now let's then get started. The story of Harishchandra. We will go to the Veda base and we will continue with the verse number 8. Right. Harishchandra had no son and was therefore extremely morose. Once, therefore, following the advice of Narada, he took the shelter of Varuna and Shelter, Varuna, my lord, I have no son. Would you kindly give me one? So before that, we had missed one verse, verse number 7. That was how Harishchandra gets a son by Varuna's boon. We are going to cover that. The son of Trisanku was Harishchandra. Because of Harishchandra, there was a quarrel between Vishwamitra and Vasishtha, who for many years fought one another, having been transformed into birds. Purport: Vishwamitra and Vasishtha were always inimical. Formerly, Vishwamitra was a Kshatriya, and by undergoing severe austerities, he wanted to become a Brahmana. But Vasishtha would not agree to accept him. In this way, there was always a disagreement between the two. Later, however, Vasishtha accepted him because of Vishwamitra's quality of forgiveness. Once, Harishchandra performed a yajna for which Vishwamitra was the priest, but Vishwamitra, being angry at Harishchandra, took away all his possessions, claiming them as a contribution of Dakshina. Vasishtha, however, didn't like this, and therefore a fight arose between Vasishtha and Vishwamitra. The fighting became so severe that each of them cursed the other. One of them said, "May you become a bird," and the other said, "May you become a dog." Thus, both of them became birds and continued fighting for many years because of Harishchandra. We can see that such a great mystic yogi as Savari became a victim of sense gratification, and such great sages as Vasistha and Vishwamitra became birds. This is the material world. Abrahma Bhuvana Loka Punar Avartina Arjuna. Within this material world or within this universe, however elevated one may be in the material qualities, one must suffer the conditions of birth, death, old age, and disease. Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi. Therefore, Krishna says that this material world is simply miserable. Dukshalayam Ashwasatam. The Bhagavatam says, Padam Padam Yadivadam. At every step here, there is a danger. Therefore, because the Krishna conscious movement provides the opportunity for the human being to get out of this material world simply by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. This movement is the greatest benediction in human society. Verse number 8 already we have read, so we'll repeat again. Harishchandra had no son and was therefore extremely morose. Once, therefore, following the advice of Narada, he took shelter of Varuna and said to him, "My lord, I have no son. Would you kindly give me one?" Verse number 9. O King Parikshit, Harishchandra begged Varuna, "My lord, if a son is born to me, with that son I shall perform a sacrifice for your satisfaction." When Harishchandra said this, Varuna replied, "Let it be so." Because of Varuna's benediction, Harishchandra begot a son named Rohita. Verse 10. Translation. Thereafter, When the child was born, Varuna approached Harishchandra and said, "Now you have a son. With this son, you can offer me a sacrifice." In answer to this, Harishchandra said, "After 10 days have passed since an animal's birth, the animal becomes fit to be sacrificed." Verse number 11. After 10 days, Varuna came again and said to Harishchandra, "Now you can perform the sacrifice." Harishchandra replied, "When an animal grows teeth, then it becomes pure enough to be sacrificed." Verse number 12. When the teeth grew, Varuna came and said to Harishchandra, "Now the animal has grown teeth, and you can perform the sacrifice." Harishchandra replied, "When all its teeth have fallen out, then it will be the fit for sacrifice." Verse number 13. When the teeth had fallen out, Varuna returned and said to Harishchandra, "Now the animal's teeth have fallen out, and you can perform the sacrifice." But Harishchandra replied, "When the animal's teeth grow in again, then he will be pure enough to be sacrificed." Verse number 14. When the teeth grew in again, Varuna came and said to Harishchandra, "Now you can perform the sacrifice." But Harishchandra then said, "O king, when the sacrificial animal becomes a Kshatriya and is able to sell himself to fight with the enemy, then he will be purified." Verse number 15. Harishchandra was certainly very much attached to his son. Because of this affection, he asked the demigod Varuna to wait. Thus, Varuna waited and waited for the time to come. Verse number 16. Rohita could understand that his father intended to offer him as the animal for sacrifice. Therefore, just to save himself from death, he equipped himself with bow and arrows and went to the forest. Verse number 17. When Rohita heard that his father had been attacked by dropsy due to Varuna and that his abdomen had grown very large, he wanted to return to the capital. But King Indra forbade him to do so. Verse number 18. King Indra advised Rohita to travel to different pilgrimage sites and holy places, for such activities are pious indeed. Following this instruction, Rohita went to the forest for 1 year. Verse 19. In this way, at the end of the second, third, fourth, and fifth years, when Rohita wanted to return to his capital, the king of heaven, Indra, approached him as an old Brahmana and forbade him to return, repeating the same words as in the previous year. Verse 20. Translation. Thereafter, in the sixth year, after wandering in the forest, Rohita returned to the capital of his father. He purchased from Ajigarka, his second son, named Sunahasefa. Then he offered Sunahasefa to his father, Harishchandra, to be used as sacrificial animal and offered Harishchandra his respectful obeisances. It appears that in those days, a man could be purchased for any purpose. Harishchandra was in need of a person to sacrifice as the animal in the yajna and thus fulfill his promise to Varuna. And a man was purchased from another man for this purpose. Millions of years ago, animal sacrifice and slave trade both existed. Indeed, they have existed since time immemorial. Moving to the next verse, verse number 21. Thereafter, the famous king Harishchandra, one of the exalted persons in history, performed grand sacrifices by sacrificing a man and pleased all the demigods. In this way, his dropsy, created by Varuna, was cured. Verse number 22. In that great human sacrifice, Vishwamitra was the chief priest to offer oblations. The perfectly self realized Jamadagni had the responsibility for chanting the mantras from the Yajurveda. Vasistha was the chief Brahminical priest, and the sage Agastya was the reciter of the hymns and this reciting this of the hymns of the Samaveda. Verse number 23. King Indra, being very pleased with Harishchandra, offered him a gift of golden chariot. Soon her safest glories will be presented along with the description of the son of Vishwamitra. Verse number 24. The great says Vishwamitra showed that Maharaja Harishchandra, along with his wife, was truthful, forbearing, and concerned with the essence. Thus, he gave them imperishable knowledge for fulfillment of the human mission. Next verse, verse number 25 to verse number 26, translation. Maharaja Harishchandra first purified his mind, which was full of material enjoyment, by amalgamating it with the earth. Thus, he amalgamated the earth with water, the water with fire, the fire with the air, and the air with the sky. Uh, Therefore, he amalgamated the sky with the total material energy and the total material energy with the spiritual knowledge. The spiritual knowledge is realization of one's self as part of the Supreme Lord. When the self realized spiritual soul is engaged in service of the Lord, he is eternally imperishable and inconceivable. Thus, established in spiritual knowledge, he is completely freed from material bondage. Purport. Thus end up the Bhakti Vedanta purports of the ninth canto, seventh chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled "The of Descendants of the King Mandhata." Right. So now we will quickly make some notes from this section in our mind map. So from so basically it should be seven actually, not eight technically. 7 to 26, and 7 to 15 we have seen three-part game. So let's see. 7 to 5 we have seen Harish Chandra gets a son. Gets a son by Aruna's boon. Right now, this was the 7 till verse number 7 till verse number 15 that was covered. Now in the second part, we have seen Harish Chandra attacked by dropsy. Verse number 16 to 20, we have seen Harish Chandra attacked by dropsy. Dropsy. Then in the next part, we have seen 21 to 23, we are seeing Harish Chandra performs a sacrifice. Then Harish Chandra last three verses, 24 to 26. Harish Chandra attains perfection. Right? So this is how it is. Verse number 16 to 20. It was all about the dropsy situation of Harishchandra. Then Harishchandra performs a sacrifice. Then Harishchandra attains perfection. Right? So this was a quick summary of this particular section from verse number 7 till the last of the verse. So now we will stop here. It was a short chapter. So tomorrow, in the next sessions, we will be continuing with the next chapter, that is the sons of Sagara meet Lord Kapila Deva. Right. So that is the eighth chapter we will start, and it will be completed in the 4 sessions. So now we will stop here. Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.